What is up, guys? Bluntcuts here. This is a Watch Our Realms video. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. I appreciate it. Please do like and subscribe if you do enjoy my content. So I am doing a breakdown on Jeera here. Mainly, I'm going to be concentrating on gearing, and I want to talk about the various gear sets, the various ways you can gear her. She does have an incredibly unique kit, and so there are a number of different ways you can try to take advantage of that. And situationally, you're likely going to want to have different gear sets for her. Honestly, there are different ways where she should be used. So obviously, she is an HP beast. She's a BP beast. If you are looking for an affiliation hero in Guild Wars, she is second basically to Jeera, as far as I can tell. You can get her at A0, fully skilled up close to 110,000 BP, which is amazing. But her skill set is kind of wonky. And unfortunately, because of the way the gearing is in this game, I think that it's going to be hard to really get exactly what you want to build her in the way that would be most advantageous. However, there's a few different ways that you can go about it, depending on how you're going to use her. And I'm going to talk you through those. But first, I am going to talk through her kit. So let's get to her skills. As I said before, please do feel free to skip around to the different chapters. If you don't want to see me break down her skills, just jump ahead to the gearing section and I can talk you through that. So let's start off with her talent. Increases max HP by 30%. The higher the current HP percentage, the higher the hero's vulnerability, up to 30%. So more HP she has, the more vulnerability she has. That also means that the less HP she has, the tankier she is, the less damage she is going to take, which is pretty awesome. Unfortunately, we don't have any kind of way to kind of scale exactly how this works. I'm sure that somebody could go and chart it out. I have no interest in doing that personally, but it is interesting to see that there is kind of this sliding scale on how vulnerable she is going to be. But the big thing here is this increase to max HP by 30% upon deployment. That is really awesome. She is actually, before I even get into the actual skills, let's just look at her attributes real quick, and that way we can just get an idea of exactly where she stands here. So if we go to total attributes, the way I've got her geared right now. She's got about 120,000 HP, which is awesome, but base HP is 31,497. That is, I do believe, the highest in the game, which is just ridiculous, especially considering she is a fighter, not a tank. Kind of crazy. She's got 6326 attack, which places her like 4th or 5th most, I think, in the game. She's very much in that kind of appropriate physical DPS fighter attack range, which is shared by heroes like Salazar and Valeria, some of the better attackers in the game. I think Valderon has a little bit more. I think he's at like 6,600. And then, of course, you've got Ardea and Magnus up at the top, where they have nearly 8,000 attack. But she is still very much in the conversation for being a higher attack fighter in this game, which is pretty awesome. Her defense is 2222, which I haven't done a comparison, but I believe is relatively high for a fighter. It's certainly not for a tank. And as you can see, depending on how you build her, you may end up using some gear sets that inherently have some defense on it. So you might make her a little tankier, even without really trying to, which is kind of nice. She has a 2.6 second attack interval. She has 100 base speed. Crit rate, crit damage are both pretty standard. Rage regen auto is 13. Rage regen on her basic attack is 10. And then finally, when she is attacked, she only gets 5 rage regen from that. So very interesting to see. Good base stats, like exceptional base stats, honestly, some of the best in the game, especially when you consider the HP component and how that can actually impact her damage. So let's talk about that. So if we go to her skills here, her basic attack deals 120% damage to one enemy. All right, let's talk about her ultimate here. So 800 rage cost ultimate when fully skilled up. When activated, restores 75% HP immediately. During the skill effect, increases max HP by 60%. Awesome. That's in addition to the 30% she's getting initially. And I do believe that this is multiplicative. Unfortunately, there's no way to really check, but it is not going to be a flat 90%. It's going to be more than that, because you're going to multiply her HP by 130% when she's first deployed, and then you're going to multiply that total by 160% afterwards, meaning that you're going to basically double her HP when the ultimate is active. And after 2 deployments, or excuse me, after 2 ultimate casts, it is going to be permanent. So she is basically going to be at double HP if she is on the field long enough, which is really, really cool. Damage dealt during the ultimate is increased by 175%, and the attack interval is also increased by 30%, meaning that she is going to be slower during the ultimate than she is outside of it. That is a negative that is in her ultimate. You may want to build her fast to kind of accommodate for this. However, she is very, very stat hungry because she wants both attack bonus, she wants HP bonus, she wants speed, obviously, and then, of course, where you can get it, you want to bring in crit damage as well, and of course, you do need to crit cap her. So there's a lot of different stats that you do need to consider when you are building her. More on that when I get to the gearing section. And again, like I said, this effect will become permanent upon the second activation. So the second time you activate it, all of these effects are going to just stay on her. Not a crazy high rage cost ultimate at 800, but it's not nothing either. I think Abominations is lower, if I'm not mistaken, but he has a similar effect where the second activation makes his ultimate state permanent. But if she can survive long enough to activate her ultimate twice, she is going to have a significant power boost for the rest of the fight, which is pretty cool. Let's talk about Divine Reprisal, her first passive. For every 3 basic attacks, the 4th basic attack will deal 200% damage, awesome, along with defense penetrating damage equal to 100% total damage the hero has taken previously. So basically, during those first 3 attacks, or I guess the 4 attacks, any damage that she takes is then going to be defense penetrating damage equal to 100% of that damage. So if she is taking a lot of damage, if she is tanking things, this can really scale up. This is why you see some really big hits in her. I've seen some AMR videos that were done where you see like her hitting for like 2 million damage. I will caution you that it takes a very unique set of circumstances for her to hit that hard. She's also only doing single target damage. So I don't think AMR is really a place that we're all that worried about beating, unfortunately, but that is kind of like the perfect place to take advantage of this skill. The only limitation to the damage here is that it cannot exceed 150% of the hero's max HP. So when you think back to the ultimate where you're getting an extra 60% max HP plus the 30% extra max HP that you're getting when you deploy her, plus the fact that she has the highest base HP in the game, you are getting a lot of bonus damage potentially here, depending on how you have her built. This is why Glacier Set is so advantageous on her. Moving on to her next passive, Mark of Retribution, inflicts Retribution. Let's click on that. The caster receives 30% more damage from units inflicted with Retribution. That's interesting. So inflicts Retribution on enemies. When attacking a target inflicted with Retribution, deals additional damage equal to 4% of the hero's max HP. Now, I wouldn't get too excited about this. I think that this is affected by crit rate and crit damage, but I don't know for sure. And 4% of the hero's max HP, even in the best case scenario, at most she's going to be at close to 300,000 HP, which is ridiculous, granted. However, that is only 12,000 damage at that. So it's not all that great at the end of the day. I mean, it's nice that you're getting some extra damage for building her that way, but it's going to pale in comparison to the rest of the damage that she's doing. So I wouldn't get too excited about this bonus damage based on max HP in this specific instance anyway. All damage received from enemies not inflicted with Retribution is reduced by 30%. Switching targets removes the Retribution inflicted on the previous target. So this Retribution is going to go on whichever unit she is attacking. She only does single target damage, so it's not going to get spread around. She's going to take 30% more damage from them, but the more units she has on her, a maximum of 3, because she is a fighter. She only has 2 block. You could put a Lunacy Visor on her, therefore increasing her block to 3. So if it's 1 unit that is attacking her, she's going to take 130% damage from them. Any subsequent units that attack her, so the other 2, she's going to be taking 70% damage. And then if she switches, then it flip-flops. So the Retribution will be ported over to whichever unit she is currently attacking. So the dynamic should stay the same. Now, this could be really advantageous in some cases. It might be kind of disadvantageous in some cases. If you are in Guild Wars, for example, and you're trying to use her as a tank, and you've got a defender coming at her, and that's the one that gets the Mark of Retribution, that is advantageous, because then presumably the more offensively focused units that come afterwards are going to be doing less damage to her. However, if the opponent leads with the high damage units, then all of a sudden, like Axe Slaughterers could be doing 130% damage to, or one of the Axe Slaughterers could be doing 130% damage to her, which even with her gigantic HP pool could potentially be a problem. So it's something to keep in mind. I think it's going to be interesting to see how this actually plays out in real world circumstances. I'm most interested in her in GVG. I don't know that there's really a compelling place to play her otherwise. It's my kind of thought. I've tried her out in a couple places. I'll discuss that briefly after I go through the skills, but I think that GVG is the only spot where I think that she might be good, but I'm skeptical. in any case, that is Mark of Retribution. She also has a arena passive because she is an Arbiter. She gets 15% increased damage in the arena. That's actually, you know what? It's not just GVG. I think she would also be very good in single target arena. Although, assuming that you are at high level single target arena and you are clearing the enemies kind of as they come out, then you're basically gonna be taking 130% damage. So I don't know. We'll have to see how this plays out. The defensive components of her kit are very situational. And the other thing too is her ultimate does restore 75% HP. However, it does not actually help you out as much as you might think because you're only gonna be able to cast it twice. So in a longer fight, the ability to heal herself is going to go away, and that is an issue. It's great to get all these bonuses applied permanently, but she's not going to be somebody that's going to be able to self-sustain past that second ultimate cast. So that is something to keep in mind. Let's take a look at her awakenings real quick, which I'm not super impressed by. So dealing damage to one enemy will consume 1 stack of Radiant Erosion on them to deal additional damage equal to 4% of the hero's max HP and inflict stun. At first that sounds good, but I did talk to you about how much HP and how much damage is going to be put out. So it's going to be like a 12k hit, best case scenario. And you're consuming a stack of Radiant Erosion, which I believe is true damage, right? So I don't know. I feel like I don't have a lot of Arbiters and I don't really use Radiant Erosion a lot. So I'm not super familiar with it, but I feel like this is a pretty solid source of damage and you're basically removing it for a 12k hit. And I don't really understand how that benefits. I know that there are some heroes in the Arbiters that do have interactions with Radiant Erosion, like Alistair, and I know Praetus does as well. And so if you remove that, on balance, is that really going to be better? I don't think so, but you know, maybe there's a use case for it. I'm not sure. A2 is plus 300 attack. That's interesting considering how HP focused she is. But you know, ultimately she needs attack. Her damage is based on attack. So that is something to note. Most of her damage, I should say, is based on attack. And then once HP drops to below 25%, gains a shield equal to 100% of max HP for 15 seconds. This effect can only be triggered 1 time per deployment. So if you have her built really tanky and really high HP, this could be a gigantic shield, and that's awesome. Honestly, probably the biggest negative of it is that it goes away after 15 seconds. I don't know that there's going to be a lot of units that are going to burn through that amount of HP in 15 seconds. This is a nice kind of pseudo unyielding, though. I think this is a kind of her answer to that, which is cool. Ultimately, I think that really one of these awakenings should give her 1 more block. That would make her exceptional and would really kind of polish her kit off, I think, but it is not in here. Plus 8% penetration, that's always nice. Good, you know, that basically gives you armor ignore, which is really nice. And then finally, A5, when an enemy is inflicted with retribution for more than 5 seconds, increases damage dealt to this enemy by 15%. So this should basically be a 15% boost to her single target damage, assuming that she is staying on the same target. So when she switches, you're gonna have to wait 5 seconds for it to be reapplied, but ultimately on long fights or where you are attacking an enemy over and over again for a long period of time, you're gonna get basically a 15% damage bonus, which is quite nice. As far as where you can use her, I mean, I think GVG is certainly a possibility. I think that single target arena is certainly a possibility. I can say a couple of quick things that I do know about her because I have tested it. So if you were thinking that you could use Gwendolyn, for example, to come in and keep her alive, and that she would benefit from the HP bonus, then that is not going to work for you. The damage taken has to be HP removed. I'm not sure what it says in the actual skill here in Divine Reprisal, but it's damage taken, and I guess damage taken while you have a shield does not count as damage taken as far as the skill is concerned. So you won't get a boost to the counter attack if you do have a shield on you, but any damage you take will still total into it. It's just not going to help you. And this is particularly troubling because she is a Northerner. So if she's in a team with Hars or Isolde or Elder, and she's getting these shields that go on over and over again, she's not going to be able to benefit from that damage taken in that case. And that's not ideal for a hero that is set up this way. I feel like maybe that's an oversight, or maybe they didn't realize that it was working that way, but that seems like a problem. You know, basically what you're looking at is, from a gearing perspective, is you've got 2 options here. You've got Glacier, and you've got something like Soulbound Arcana. Now, granted, she can only cast her ultimate twice. However, she is going to get the bonus of Soulbound Arcana if other units do cast their ultimates, because that is the way Soulbound Arcana works right now. It's been going on long enough that I think that's just how it's going to work forever at this point. I don't think it's going to change. So I think you could safely use Soulbound Arcana on her. She doesn't, from my read-through anyway, I don't think that Infernal Roar would be particularly beneficial to her. So I think that Soulbound Arcana is probably going to be the best set for her. If you're not using Glacier, I do think that Glacier, ultimately, if she is going to be taking hits, then this is the set that you want on her. Then your next option is going to be, do you want to use Immortal Warrior, or do you want to use something like Warlord on the left-hand side? It depends on how if you're trying to make her as tanky as possible, probably Immortal Warrior. If you are going to you want to build more attacking stats on her, then you're probably going to want to use Warlord. Let me take you over to the spreadsheet. I'm going to show you how these numbers break down. And I'll also, of course, put a copy of the spreadsheet, a link to a copy of the spreadsheet in the description of this video, so you can go and take a look at it yourself. But bonkers stats that this lady can get. Let's go take a look. All right, guys. So I have zoomed in real close here just to make it a little bit more legible and give myself room on screen as well. But I've got the 3 different sets that I did just show you in the video. I've broken down the stats here, and I've tried to do my best anyway to give estimates as far as what that's going to translate to, what those stats are going to translate to when she is actually deployed in the game. So we've got the first set, which was Glacier and Immortal Warrior, triple HP percent on the right side pieces. She's got the Glacier and Warlord set underneath that with also triple HP percent right side pieces. And then I've also got the Soulbound Arcana, which could be, really any tier 3 set, or I guess they're actually tier 2 sets is what they are. So let's modify that. But also in triple attack percent gear, given that we are trying to stack attack with the HP percent Glacier pieces, I thought it was appropriate to put her in triple attack percent. However, depending on the defense of the enemy that you are attacking, you may want to swap out one of those pieces for a crit damage piece or something like that. You may have to play around with that. However, this bottom set, the Soulbound Arcana set, is just basically, it is a damage set that is very similar to what you would see on pretty much any damage dealer in this game currently. And the only difference would be that there was more of a concentration on HP percent substats, because that is going to benefit her to a certain extent. So that is why I have it built that way. But let's take a look here. So obviously the highest HP, both on her hero sheet in the interface, as well as her deployed HP when she is placed on the map, is going to be in this first set with the Glacier and Immortal Warrior at 119,249 and 155,024 HP when she is deployed, which is just monstrous. You can see that the Glacier and the Warlord is actually not that far behind, though. You can about 9,000 deployed HP less, which is not all that bad. You can see in the attack sheet, the Soulbound Arcana set obviously outpaced it because the Glacier bonus is not being portrayed in that interface. So looking at the contribution that she's getting from Glacier here, I do want to note that this is based off of her deployed stats. So this is after you account for the 30% max HP bonus that she is getting as soon as she's deployed. She's going to get 9,300 bonus attack from Glacier in the Immortal Warrior set. She loses about 500 of that when she does switch to Warlord. But she's also gaining a bit from, you'll see the difference is not as stark over here at her deployed attack, which is only about 200 less by using Warlord rather than the 500 you see here, because she is getting that 25% attack boost from the Warlord set itself. However, despite that, on deployment, she still has more attack in the Soulbound Arcana set when you are stacking triple attack percent gear. She's nowhere near as tanky, so she's not going to function that way. But if you're just using her as a straight up fighter, you're going to get more attack initially this way. However, that's not going to remain the case. Let me show you. But before we get there, so obviously they all have 100% crit, but she is going to have access more than likely. I mean, obviously there are some people are going to be able to, they've gotten really lucky and they have very uncommon pieces of gear on their account that might flip the way that this breaks down, but generally speaking, you are going to be able to stack more crit damage and more attack speed by building her as a traditional fighter with a Soulbound Arcana or equivalent set with triple attack percent pieces on the right-hand side. That is going to net you more crit damage and more attack speed, which ultimately, if she's not taking big hits and isn't benefiting from that retribution, then she is not going to do anywhere near as much damage with the HP build, even with the massive bonus that she's getting from the Glacier set. Now, during the ultimate, when she gets another 60% HP on top of that already 30% max HP bonus that she's getting, she is at, and this again, this is assuming that the bonuses are multiplicative. So that means that she's getting that 30% when she is deployed, and then when she activates the ultimate, she is taking that new total max HP and then multiplying that by an additional 60% to get her total HP. So obviously, the same remains true as before. She is at 248,000 HP during the ultimate in the Glacier and Immortal Warrior set, 234,936 HP with the Warlord set. What I find kind of interesting here is that it's about half as much, but it's still a massive HP pool, even though she is in triple attack percent pieces and Soulbound Arcana, which is kind of nutty when you think about it. She's still got almost 120,000 HP, which is comparable to most tanks that are built in triple HP percent gear. That is crazy. Now, granted, again, lots of HP percent substats on the gear that I do have her equipped in, but this is gear that you more than likely have on your account or similar on your account. So this is something that I think is probably more accessible in some cases than some of the other gear sets. Just my thought, depends on how much you farm gear raid 2 at the end of the day. So during the ultimate, again, the same kind of remains true. You're getting more Glacier attack contribution on the higher HP set with the Immortal Warrior. That does make sense. If we're looking at total attack, now we see it's kind of flipped, and the Glacier bonus is outweighing the benefit that you're getting from the triple attack percent pieces in the Soulbound Arcana set. So it's still not crazy higher, but it is higher. So total attack during the ultimate is going to be 26,264 in the Immortal Warrior version of the HP percent set, 25,763 in the Warlord version, and then still that same 24,193 in the Soulbound Arcana set. Now, if we're looking at the Divine Reprisal, the counterattack bonus, you can see these two sets with the HP bonus are going to massively outscale the Soulbound Arcana set. And that's why I say that if you are taking heavy damage and you are using her as a tank, then you are going to be better off in one of these Glacier sets. I personally think that the extra crit damage and the extra attack speed that you're likely to get from a Warlord set is going to benefit you more. However, if you have some very unique Immortal Warrior pieces, or you have really good Glacier gear with crit damage, crit rate, and attack speed on it, then you may end up wanting to go Immortal Warrior. It's up to you. It's going to depend on your account at the end of the day. But based on my own account, what I've seen on the test drum, when I've seen thousands and thousands of Ancients, I think that the most likely situation is that you are going to have to use gear like I'm using right now on here, and you're going to be limited in your crit damage and in your attack speed if you are using the Glacier set. But again, every account is unique, so I can't speak. It's not going to be ubiquitous. You're going to have to look at your own stats and what you have access to. But with that being said, you've got 372,057 max bonus damage from the Immortal Warrior set. However, the Glacier and Warlord set is not far behind, and I think that I haven't mathed it out, but I do believe that with the extra crit damage, this is probably going to end up being more damage at the end of the day, even though it has a lower max damage bonus, the bonus damage. You can test it out and see for yourself, but that is my guess. I've also included some stats as far as a level 25 Key of the Forsaken, which, if you're not familiar, is a new fighter artifact that was put into the game. It seems like specifically for Jeera, because I don't know who else you're going to use it on, maybe Abomination or something like that. But it does give you basically every, I think, 10 seconds, it gives you one stack of HP bonus, HP percent bonus, which is going to be 7% per stack, so 21% after she's been on the field for 30 seconds, meaning a 21% total max HP bonus, which is pretty substantial. So if we account for a level 25 Key of the Forsaken, her deployed HP in the Immortal Warrior set goes to 187,579, about 10,000 less at 177,000 for the Warlord set. Total attack is going to be 22,637 upon deployment, but 300 less for the Warlord set. And then HP during the ultimate, she is over 300,000 in the gear that I was using, which is nutty. And then still 284,273 with the Warlord set, again, with the extra crit damage and the extra speed. And then finally, if we look at the total attack, basically she is at 29,390 after she has 2 activations of her ultimate, or during the first activation of her ultimate. But once it becomes permanent, this will become her new attack. And then the attack with the Warlord set is about 600 less than that. So a little over 600, 670, let's say. So lots and lots of attack. My experience, again, was that this did not outweigh the extra stats that you can get from using pure attack gear, unless you are getting hit over and over again, and you can take advantage of that on most of the Divine Reprisals that you are going to be doing, so every 4th attack. So if you're taking a lot of damage within I'd say a 10-second period, remember her attack interval does increase, meaning she hits slower when she is in the ultimate window, then you are ultimately going to I think, benefit more from having the higher HP builds. But if you just want to use her as a fighter, which she does have crazy bait stats, she doesn't do crazy damage, but it's decent damage, it's not crazy, then you're probably going to want to use her in Soulbound Arcana. But I wanted to break this stuff down. I will post a link to this spreadsheet in the description of this video. Please do let me know in the comments what you think about all this. What are your thoughts on Jeera? I wasn't lucky enough to pull her, so I had to go on the test realm to put all this stuff together. But I'd love to know if this is helpful to you, if there's anything I could have done differently. But with that being said, please do like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you all next time.